Hello, world. Welcome to Queer in Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality, the LGBTQ Center for Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality, where we discuss science, theology, philosophy, and spirituality with an LGBT perspective. And today we are going to do a very science loaded video, and it's to discuss about life and where is life found? Is it in the DNA? Is it in the cells? And my usual flying around. I may fly around about electricity. Contrary to what people believe, they think electricity is artificial. But electricity is not artificial. It's actually natural. And if it's natural, then power, supernatural power, is also natural. It's just that it's out of this world power, but it can be accessed. Because if you go by the creation theory, that if we've come from, that a cosmic being or cosmic beings created the world, then it means that there is cosmic power in the earth, and it is reflected in the creation. And the video we're going to watch is by Dr. Lupton, and he suggests something close to that. But where I disagree with him is the fact that he doesn't think genes are important. And science is clear that genes do make up. Genes are the source of life, and cells are part of. They have genes. Cells. Every cell has a gene, and that's what's supposed to be understood. So I think it was an error. But YouTube. What I like about it, there's freedom of expression. But when you watch a video, when you read a book, when you listen to a podcast, it is good to be critical of what you're listening to. And one way to be critical is read everything. Like if someone is talking about homosexuality, read both the negative and the positive views about homosexuality. And then you can give a reasoned judgment to whatever you've listened to. And that's what I do. It's painful sometimes when you read negative views about homosexuality, but I read them because you could try and find out, is this person saying the truth or he's doing propaganda. Like homosexuality is okay. There's nothing to do with wrong. It's love. So you don't need to attack anybody. Like today I was very happy to read that the court in Hong Kong has just passed a judgment saying that no religion is above homosexuality. Homosexuality exists without religion, you see, and that's what people need to understand. So because of that, no religion can put any condition on homosexuality, because the homosexuality existed before religion. And that's what people need to know. Religion is man-made. It's man-made, not that the cosmic powers don't exist, but man does not know these cosmic powers. So because of that, he now defined them according to what he understood. This is why God has so many names in so many religions. Islam has Allah. Jews have Yahweh, El Shaddai, Jehovah, El Elyon, Adonai. And Adonai was used by Canaanites also. They called their god Adon. And they called, and then you have Babylon. They called God Il. That's where we get Babil. And all of these, look at Diana. Diana is a god. she's a goddess. They believed that the cosmic powers were plural. And they believed, the Greeks especially, the reason why they're polytheistic with Indians is because they saw a lot of diverse things happening and they couldn't pin it to one god. And they just said, when there's war, we call it the god of war, Athena, a woman. When it is power, you call the god of power is Zeus. And then because they saw the planets and they saw the diversity in the universe, that's what made them believe that there are many gods. And so they gave many gods. Because there are very many planets, they concluded then there are many gods, and that each planet is a god. Even planet Earth is a god. Mother Earth, Gaia. So, but these people, have they seen those gods? No. That's what you need to know. So what does that mean? It means that everybody can name God anything. But it's that they are, and by them naming, it's that the cosmic power exists, but they don't know what it is. Even theology is man-made. This whole thing of grace, you can have there are religions that don't have grace. Yes, they have no concept of grace. They have no concept of forgiveness. The Baha'i have no concept of right or wrong. That's what you need to understand about religions. Your religion does not look like another religion. And I was doing a research yesterday and I found there are 4,200 religions in the world. And for me, there are more than that. They should even be 100,000, because to me, every denomination, every sect is a religion. Every philosophy is a religion. And so that means there are even 1 million religions. And that's what you should understand about the world. Now, what makes a religion powerful is the number of people. Why do we count how many Christians are in the world? Because it shows us which philosophy is reigning. So like for us, the philosophy that is reigning is the Christian philosophy, because majority of the world is Christian. And now they are having threats from Islam, because Islam is increasing in number in terms of people becoming, they are having more children than the Christian population, though that's not true, because in Africa there's a balance of the Muslim and Christian. So Christians are, I think Christians are even more than Muslims in Africa. So what does that mean? That means Christians will still be many, because every time the Muslim is having birth, the Christian is having birth. And so that means Islam will still be in a catch-up race. There is no way it can overtake Christianity, but it can overtake Christianity in Europe, because in Europe they are not reproducing as fast as the Muslim populations in their country. So, and it's very important, by the way, what's happening philosophically, because like Europe is going to change. Are you seeing how nationalistic Europe is becoming? I think it's because of the air, the philosophical air is very Islamic, and that's what we are doing as a center. We are reforming religions so that they can all be humane, they can all be understanding of other religions and other views. We are actually promoting diversity, unity in diversity, that even though we are diverse, we can be united. And that's how the human body is like that, We are not like a snake. A snake has very few organs, because it's just a straight, long life form. So why does it need hands? But we who have hands, we have eyes, we have feet, we have very many diverse organs, so because of our structure. So because of that, it means diversity is not bad. Diversity can actually be united. Like my body, this is diversity. You see, I have a mouth, I have a nose, I have an eye. We'd have just been born with an eye. That's what Paul in the Bible says, that you can't say the eye doesn't need the ear. It needs it. It's diversity. And so I am a walking diversity, and you are also a walking diversity. So what does that mean? Unity can exist in diversity, and that's what we are promoting. Now, why did I have to say Islam and other religions need reform? Because there was a very sad doctrine. First of all, nations have been nationalistic. That's what you need to understand. That nationalism is basically homogeneity. People, we are naturally like being with our races. And when you like being with your race, it makes you nationalistic. You will not mix with somebody who doesn't know your language, doesn't know your culture, doesn't look like you. So that's what, and it's animalistic to be like that. In fact, humans are the best animals because we learn how to interact, even with those who look different from us. We learn how to integrate with people who are different. But when you look at the animal kingdom, very few animals connect with each other. Different animals. You'll never see a cow connecting with a snake. You won't see a porcupine. I mean, a porcupine is not a friend of anybody. But a porcupine, you see. Have you noticed the porcupines, they mate even with their quills? Reason? This is my friend. I'm not going to shoot quills at it. But the moment it sees anything moving, it will shoot its quills because it's not my friend. You don't look like me, so you're not my friend. So that's nationalism in animal kingdom. And because we're animals, we have the potential to be nationalistic. We have the potential to be racist. But because we are higher animals, we also have the potential to consciously integrate with different races, different sexualities, different genders, different persons. And that's what we do. So we are reforming religions because the nationalistic tendency is found in many religions, even Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. There is this entitlement that our nation is the one. We are the chosen ones. And that's what happens. But the good thing of Judaism does not really emphasize that they don't, even if they, first of all, many Jews are atheists, so because of that philosophical nationalism, the philosophical Jewish nationalism is not common, is not there. But if Jews, majority of them were very religious, my goodness, they can really make you, they have the scripture that makes them nationalistic. But you see, what I like about Jews is that even though they have those scriptures, they don't take them seriously. Yes. What they take seriously is life. They take life very seriously, and they can relate with you even if you're a different race, as long as you don't attack them. If you attack them, that's when they have a problem with you. Now, the reason why the Islamic countries are fighting Israel is nationalism, and it's nationalism embedded in the Quran, because Prophet Muhammad said that Muslims are better than the non-Muslims, and so that creates nationalism. You see, that's a chosenhood, the doctrine of chosenhood, the doctrine of speciality. And that's what happened in Islam. It's also in Islam whereby you find people, they have this tendency that if you're not a Muslim, you are a lesser human, or you're a bad person, you're going to hell. And it's also in Christianity, because Christianity is also, if you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. If you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you're going to hell. If you're a drunkard, you're going to hell. If you're a prostitute, you're going to hell. So that's nationalism. It's religious nationalism. Oh, so I was to do this video of cells, but let me deal with nationalism now. Then we'll do it later in the day. So that is what you call religious nationalism, whereby a religion acquires chosenhood, chosen status, and uses that status to oppress other religions that are not with them. So that's what you need. Even that's why the Bible has a lot of genocide in the Old Testament. It was the nation of Israel, and they were fighting any nation that God told them to destroy. They destroyed those nations, and the nations they didn't destroy, which were the Canaanites, the Jebusites, it's because the Jebusites realized these guys are killing everybody, so let's come into agreement. Let's do diplomacy, because if we fight these guys, we'll disappear. So the Jebusites made a deal with Joshua, and they actually tricked Joshua, and the trickery worked. They managed to survive with Israelites, and then when you read the Bible deeply, as time goes on, they killed the remaining Canaanites and Jebusites in the country of Israel. Yes, when you read the book of Judges, in fact, after Joshua left, Israel was now in tatters. It was confused, and people were doing whatever they wanted. So then they had to have a system of judges, and these were heroes, and there was always war. Because, they didn't finish the Philistines. The Philistines lived in Gaza. The current Gaza, the Philistines lived there. And when they got to Jerusalem, Jerusalem was a city of the Jebusites. They rested, and remember, Joshua divided the land. Moses divided the land already. And so they had given Gaza, I think, I can't remember which tribe, Naphtali or Dan, one of the two. There was a tribe that was to stay in Gaza. And they had to deal with Philistines until they defeated them. It was very long time, a very long battle, over 500 years of living with the Philistines until they left. And then Israel now acquired Gaza. Now, so what am I telling you? I was talking about the religious nationalism. So it was religious nationalism that inspired Israel to attack all the nations around where they were to create their new nation. And that's what happened. It is religious nationalism that led Babylon to take Israelis captive. It is religious nationalism that led the European colonialists to colonize the world, because they were Christian, especially Britain and Spain. Spain was completely... You know why Latin America is Catholic? It is because of... the Pope should say thank you to Spain, because they were religious nationalists. They had the Christian and specifically Catholic religion, and they took it there, destroyed the religions that were in South America, and told people, now you're going to be Catholics. And that's what happened. Go and meet a Latin America, even who is 100 years old, doesn't know Inca religion at all, but he knows Catholicism so well, as if he was born a Catholic. He's genetically Catholic, and he's not genetically Catholic. He's genetically an Inca, Aztec worshipper of the gods of the very hard names of Mexico, the Mexican gods. So that's what happened That's his colonialism was also religious nationalism, and that's what has even happened in Africa. The Christian colonialists, especially from Britain, colonized Africa. I kind of like the French because they were not religious in their colonization, so they didn't impose a lot of Christian dogma even in their legislation. That's why French colonies do not have laws against homosexuality, because the French didn't want to disturb the peace in African culture, because homosexuality is African also. Yes, it's not only European, it's also African, because we are human beings and we have the same attractions. People are attracted to each other, it is natural. So the French were wise, and the French, they had done away with the monarchy, which was a religious nationalistic system, because the clergy was with the monarchy. And when they were removed, one of the people the revolutionaries didn't spare was the church, and they attacked them, and they banned religion. They became atheists or secular. The Pope was no longer in charge of France. By the way, read the history of France. Very interesting history. Even after Napoleon, it didn't rest. They tried to restore the monarchy. It didn't work. And so when they colonized parts of Africa, they didn't come with the colonization of religious colonization. They came with political colonization and economic colonization. So they just got these colonies. That's why there are very many black people who are French. It's because the French viewed a black person, thanks to the egalitaire and all of fraternité and I've forgotten the other one. The three philosophies of brotherhood and fraternity. When they came to Africa, of course they fought with some Africans, but when they settled, after the wars had settled, they noticed some Africans were able to acquire French culture. And because of that, they were so impressed by these black Frenchmen, or black people who could acquire French culture. They said, you know what, we're even bringing you to France. So it was a rule that if you're able to integrate in the French culture by learning the language, then you will be a French citizen. And that's very, very nice of our country, our colonialists. I mean, they really loved, that's love, that's fraternity, that's brotherhood. And so because of that, very many French people went to France. I mean, black people went to France and became French citizens. And this happened, even the Congolese musicians, the great Papa Wemba and Tabule, all of these guys, they could speak French, they sing in French. Lingala is a mixture of French and the Bantu languages. So they were so good in their music, France used to tell them, come over, come and sing. You are singing in our language and it's nice music. Yes, be free. And of course, like Papa Wemba, he got into trouble because of human trafficking. He was bringing very many Congolese, because you see, but you can't blame him. Now, all the French colonies, majority of the people speak French. Even the poorest person, he speaks French. So that means the colonial policy, it should be working right now. Then those Congolese who speak French are French. Yes, they are French. And so why was Papa Wemba accused of human trafficking when he's bringing French speakers? It's because the nationalism sentiment does not disappear. And remember, when these colonialists were making deals with the Africans, their people were not involved. So when the blacks would go there, people would wonder, who are these people who are coming here? We've never seen such colors, we've never seen them. So some people learned to accept it, but others still had racism because of the animalistic potential to be racist. So that's what happened in France, and this is why black people who carry blacks to France, especially the ones from French colonies, they are still accused of human trafficking because you're black. Even though you can speak French, you're black, you know. So this is what you need to understand. So religious nationalism is different from political nationalism and economic nationalism. And the French were not religious nationalists. It is Britain that was a religious nationalist, which is why we have to even reform Christianity, because it is very they take their scriptures so seriously, and it has affected science. You know, people do not understand gay people. They don't understand lesbians because of the Bible. You know, they read it so literally, and the interpretation they have is wrong. And you know, Protestantism made it even worse, because you can interpret the Bible the way you want, and your interpretation is enough to start a church. So you can imagine. So there's a lot of course, reform is happening now. As you can see, Rwanda has done a good thing to encourage pastors to have a degree, so that they can understand religion more and not just stand up and speak. Whether the pastor has cosmic powers or not, he should go to university. And that's why I'm happy with Rwanda. It's not about, you know, because the village pastors let the big lorry pass. Yeah, you can see the power. That's natural sound. Yes, it's natural. And because cars are natural, yes, because the metals are from the ground. Yes, they're from the ground, and then the noise you're hearing comes because of vibrations, which are instigated by the oil and electricity, which is natural. So we'll do it when we do the story of DNA. For now, let's focus on nationalism. So that's what you need to understand happened to the French and the world. So where was I? I was talking about British Christianity. I mean, yes, Christianity. So there's still a lot of time to reform these religions and discuss about interpretation of scriptures. And of course, we may. It's not an easy task. But what I say is, let every interpretation exist, and then the most scientific interpretation shall stand. That's why I'm with the LGBTQ interpretation of the scriptures, because LGBTQ sexuality is scientific. Yes, people are born gay, they are born lesbian, they are born transgender, they are born intersex, they are born queer. It's a fact. There is no. That's why, there's a reason. That's why even LGBTQ persons go to churches and they're in the mosques. It's because it's science. You can't fight it. No religion can fight science. They even look for science, because science is God. As simple as that. I was looking at the history of the word of the moon. The moon was called Sin in Canaanite religion, and it was a male god. It was very weird. And then, what is so funny, as human beings advanced, they stopped calling that god male, and they called it female. Do you know why? They started studying cycles, and they realized women had a lunar cycle, because after every 4 weeks, women were menstruating. So what does this mean? When humans started even their ancient religions, they still didn't know science. They didn't know that women menstruate. They didn't even know what that meant. You know, the first woman who menstruated, did she know what she was going through? She didn't know. And then secondly, she didn't know the time, because the first humans, they never measured time. They just lived like animals. They lived like animals. Then, when they started measuring time, you know, out of boredom, just imagine yourself, you're a human being, naked, sitting. Then you go through 5 years, you've not measured time. Then you realize there's a pattern, that every time rain comes at this time, and then another part of the year there's no rain, and it's always like this. And the body was feeling these cycles. Then they said, what's happening? They sat down and counted and measured time. Then they realized there's a cycle, there's a pattern. They sat down and then they started counting. Then they counted the days, then they counted the hours. No civilization was born with a clock. You know what I like about the world? It's like we were dumped here to study. And the victory of mankind is when we study and know everything on earth. When we get to that position, we have finished the earth. Already we have finished the earth, because people now are able to go to outer space. You know, NASA, ESA, the Chinese are also gone out. India is also out. Russia is also out. They are out of the planet Earth, meaning it's done. They have finished Earth. They have studied everything. So that's what you need to know, understand about life. So I was telling you about humans. As I was saying, As I was saying, the early human beings never knew how to measure time, so they never understood very many things that were happening, even in the human body. But as they advanced and started measuring time, they now knew women go through menstrual cycles, meaning lunar cycles. And then that's when many religions that came at the time when they measured time, they gave the moon a female status. Because females they tend to fly with the moon, or they are connected to the moon. It's a weird connection. And it's not only women, there are even men who are like that. They are feminine. So that means they are lunar. And it's weird. Hold on. Yeah, so that's what happened. And the more humans progress in measuring time, the more they know the more they advance in measuring time, the more they know that thing. So like now, we can even measure digestion. Yes, we can even measure dreams. We can even measure sleep patterns. It's because now we know everything happens within time. Everything. And we even know how signals are passed in the body, because we now measured time. Thank the Babylonians. Thank those ancient empires who studied time to the T.